Assalamu alaikum. Suleiman Rahim here. Welcome. Let's slay some demons. Critique. Birth of a nation. Let's see one thing here right quick, brothers and sisters. Birth of a nation. Sisters and brothers, the nation is about to be born. Suddenly, in a few days, the water is broke. It's time for delivery. It shall come suddenly, as we shall see. But there's everyone, and I mean everyone, wants to abort this birth. So we're going to talk about that. Birth of a nation. There's so much to talk about. There's so many designs against us, and most of us are oblivious to it. But you're going to wake up in a minute. Going to wake up in a minute. Like when the doctor, pulls you out and spanks you and start crying. You're going to wake up in a minute. What does it take to wake up a God? You're going to wake up in a minute. And when you wake up, brothers and sisters, woe unto this world. Woe unto this world when you wake up. So let's move on. As I said, there's many that wants to abort this birth. Many. America wants to abort it. They're watching. See, they put a pin in his brain as soon as it's born. They're hoping for a stillbirth. They got a doctor on the scene that's been poisoning the mother, hoping that it would destroy the child. See? And you think that doctor's for you. He's your persistent, pernicious, tenacious enemy. We're talking about Louis Farrakhan. Anyone that uses an ounce of brains will follow what I'm going to say, because it's very simple. America does not want us to think as a nation. They had enough of that with Marcus Garvey, and they surely had enough after Elijah Muhammad. That struck terror into their brains, terror into their hearts. Because to think of ourselves as a nation is very, very problematic to them, very traumatic. Because first of all, they would have to explain internationally why they're oppressing a whole nation. When they're pointing fingers at China and everyone else for doing similar things, then how can they say that when they're oppressing the whole nation? They can't have you think as a nation. And anything that goes with that, because that means separation. No, why y'all talking separation? Why wouldn't they want us to talk separation? I mean, they tell us to go back to Africa. Why don't they want us talking separation? Because that's nation. You see, you know, because we go back to Africa individually, but not as a nation. They don't want us thinking nation. See, and then Elijah Muhammad build a nation here. He said we're a nation within a nation. It's called the Nation of Islam. Do you see a Nation of Islam out there now except only a name? Only a name. And so if you listen to what Louis Farrakhan is saying, he's preaching their gospel. He's preaching their gospel. We're not going anywhere, which is the essence of what Master Prophet Muhammad showed up for, and Elijah Muhammad nursed for 40 some years. The fact that we are going home, leaving here and going home. So he says he represents them. How can he say he represents them when their primary message is, he says, is not true? He calling them liars. The whole mission that their whole mission, he's denying it. He's denying their whole entire mission. You don't understand that? If he says we're not going anywhere, he's denying Master Farad Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad in the most fundamental way. Anyone don't understand that is total idiot or a demon. Then he says, well, what's the other primary pillar of Master Farad Muhammad's message? We're going home because we're the seed of Abraham, and that our captors are devils. It says in the lesson very clean. Elijah Muhammad taught that for 40 some years, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Farrakhan says, even after years of Elijah Muhammad's absence, he told me we shouldn't call them devils anymore. Think about that. He didn't say it as soon as he came back and took over. He waited years to say it. So it took him years to remember that Elijah Muhammad told him don't use the word devil anymore. So they got everything they want. Our enemies, Master got everything they want. We're not talking separatists no more, so they're not pressing us. So we citizens, we're not a nation, right? We're part of this nation. And we're not going anywhere. And we're going to defend America in battle. See? And we're not devils anymore. See, we regular brothers and sisters. I mean, what does he have to come and smack you in the face? If he says he's going to bring them into NOI, that means they're brothers. They're not devils anymore. He's not just sending out devils. He's not just using the word. He's just not using. Is not using the word anymore. But he's saying that fundamentally they're not devils because they can come to NOI. They're not devils. They're brothers and sisters, and he putting them up as Mexicans and everything else to talk to you. Wearing a uniform. And because he said, I'm with Elijah, okay, he said with Elijah, right? It's like a fox coming into the hen house. Oh, he's dressed as a hen. Oh, I'm a hen. But while he's eating the damn hens, and you don't get it? Yeah, he looks like a hen. He says he's a hen, but he's eating hens. It means he must not be a hen. I don't care what he looks like. Man, I don't know. He looked like a hen. No, he looked like a lamb. A fox. What he said? A wolf in sheep's clothing. He looks like a lamb, but he's eating lambs. What lamb is he eating lamb? And you don't get it? And just because he keeps saying, I'm a lamb, I'm a lamb, I'm a lamb. But why you eating lambs then? He keeps saying he would like Muhammad, but he's not doing. Oh, here's how you live. Here's Mr. Black. If you read Mr. Black Man, how can he be the Mr. Black Man if he's already destroying the whole fundamental messages the messenger gave? He can get away with that with lies people because they never met the messenger and they don't read those books. But the most fundamental purpose of Master Muhammad coming is to take us back home. So if he said we're not going anywhere, that means that's the whole, it nullifies the whole reason Master Muhammad even came here. And the whole, he destroys Elijah Muhammad's total work. They already did that, destroy everything that he built. Everything that he built, right? Him and his followers built, they destroyed all that. And he's not building anything. He's not rebuilding anything. So he's giving them everything they want. But he's just saying, I'm with Elijah. I'm representing Elijah. Don't they say a picture's worth 1,000 words? See? We stop listening to what he's saying and watch what he's doing. I pay attention to what he's saying too, because what he's saying, right, is after he tells you with Elijah, then he tells you everything, he undermines everything Elijah is doing. Everything. See? So that's what's going on with him. He's not going anywhere. He's not building anything. And then they tell you, well, we're gonna get some 6 states or something over here. Is he preparing for those states? If he thinks that's what his mission is, right? First he had a mission to get across the sea or whatever, across the lake or whatever. But now if he's gonna get this 6 states that he's talking about, is he preparing for it? If he's not preparing for it, that means that's not what he's after. He's not preparing for it. Is he setting up schools, training people, getting people to run these states that he thinks he's supposed to get? He's clear as day. But he's surrounded by demons. So you better understand the story about Peter. He's surrounded by demons. So you don't read these stories very carefully. Read the story about Peter. See, you think Peter's a good guy. Oh, on this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Do a little critical analysis on that statement. The subject is the church and the gates of hell. That's the subject there. And he says, what is the purpose of the gates of hell? It's to keep people out or keep people in. It's to keep people in. So you got the gates of hell between hell and the church. That's the story. You got the church and you got hell and you got the gates in between them. And he says the gates of hell would not prevail against it. So analyze, what does that mean when it doesn't prevail? When something prevails, that means it failed. So if the gates of hell fail, that means the inhabitants of hell is going to come and flood into the church. So he's filled his church up with demons. Book of Mark tell you about that with demons. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with that. But he's the doctor standing by to make sure this nation is aborted. Because he's already done everything he can to abort it. So he's standing by to make sure that everything he did worked. Because we're not supposed to be a nation. According to him, we're never going to be a nation because we're part of America. He's not doing anything. He is calling a nation in name, but he's not doing anything to support a nation. He's taking you away from Elijah Muhammad's teaching. Now he's trying to teach us Sunniism. In Sunniism, you wouldn't be a nation. You just be Negroes with the Quran. And they don't want you. They don't want your birth either, because your birth, right, means, right, you're going to be birthed, and your birthing place will be Arabia. No, your birthing place would be here. I misspoke on that one. It'd be here, but your resting place, right, when they birth you, and then they put you into wherever they put you, some kind of, I forget what they call those things, right? But that's where you're going. That's Arabia. As you're born, that's where they're going to place you to grow up. And they don't want that either, because that means that land belongs to us. So they paying him also to abort you. Make sure you're never born. That's his job, to make sure you're never born. A nation is never born. He's supposed to put the death nail on it with his Scientology, Sunniism, and all the stuff he's giving, all the confusion, right? But no nation building. And all the money you give him to build a nation, he's only building his own wealth with his $1,000 designer glasses and his $1,000 of pretty skirts he likes to wear, being disemboweled by God, because that's the punishment of hypocrites and liars. You understand, brothers and sisters? Move on. But this nation will be birthed. The war's already broke. It's going to come through any day now. It's like, you're going to labor, and sometimes some women take a few minutes, a few hours. But it's birth. It's going to be birth. Nothing they can do to stop it. See? Went through 464 years of total hell, right? in the womb. How long we spend in the womb? See, it's like a child in the womb of a mother's being beaten and raped and oppressed and tortured. But she's holding that child. She's holding that child, right? She's trying to protect that child, but she's catching it. That's the idea we have of the female, not the idea the sealed Bible has. See, the sealed Bible always play every bad thing is painted as a female. Babylon's female. See, all these places, all these the whore, the harlot, all these things. See, because that was part of Abraham's, and that's part of Adam's guidance. He suppressed everyone, even this woman, because he's tyrant. He's evil to make Mishra shed blood. That was his guidance. So what we have is we have a conflict, right? We have an Old Testament. I mean the sealed Bible versus the unsealed Bible. That's unique in our history. We never had anything like that. We never had two scriptures that conflict with each other. Because that's the nature of our situation. Is what I'm trying to tell you there is that we got two conflicting visions. And so they had to have guidance. Every nation gives guidance. So if they were going to rule, they had to have guidance to give. I mean, guidance, because they was made. So why would you make them do something and then don't give them any guidance? So they was given guidance to rule effectively. The only way they could rule, they couldn't rule in righteousness. That was impossible for them. So he gave them a book, see, that will show them how to rule in their wickedness. See? And that same book, right, was sealed up for the righteous when their time came to blow away their view. So we had a view of the woman. That's what it says in chapter 12. The woman was being tormented to give birth. See, our original nation was tormented for 464 years to give birth, tormented, beaten, raped. But she protected her children. She protected us. That's our females. And you got people that put down our females. She protects us. That's the way we look at women. That's the way they do. See, the gods, they are protectors, right? They're loving, they protect, they give their lives for us. That's the way we're supposed to look at females. See, that's unlocking the angel. See, she gave her life. She fled to the wilderness trying to protect her child. And then you got these clowns. They put her down and beat her, call her bitches and everything else. Right? Most of those are demons. But some of us are just stupid. They're going to pay the price for that. They locked into that Bible, that sealed Bible. The black woman is the greatest one, anything, the greatest being to ever kissed by the sun. We say, oh, I thought that's God. They are God. And so are we. They're 180 degrees of God. We the other 180 degrees of God. Together we make 360 degrees of God. They're 180 degrees of God. They're the ones that comfort us, give us birth, give us life. We provide the seed. They provide the nutrients, the nourishment, the love, the tender care. They nursed us through 464 years of total hell. As I said, the woman was tormented to give birth. But she held on, fighting this terrible beast by itself in the darkness. and they're howling and roaring and raging against her and sniping at her and biting her, and she's struggling, holding on to a child. And that's the vision we have of females, of women. And these clowns want to go and marry the wolves and the dogs and the real whores and bitches. That's what a bitch is, a female dog. He's sick. Most of them are demons anyway, so we don't care about them. But that's what's going on, bro. Since you got this conflict between the two visions, and both visions are in the scripture, in the Bible. See? And it tells you one vision is open, that's the vision in Adam, other one's sealed, and it's going to explode and blow away the other one. That's what's happening now. So we're going to talk about some of those things. Before I play this takes about 5 or 10 minutes, so I'll play this. See, I'm going to show you, this is the sealed version. This is what they think. Boys, they have a surprise coming to them. But when he's talking from the sealed Bible, and when you listen to him, you understand how they think. Because in the sealed Bible, they're just people. They're good people. They ain't do anything wrong. Because we just Negroes, we was born to be slaves, we was cursed to be black, we was cursed to be black. See, something wrong with us, not them. It's not that they was cursed to be white or leprous, it's us who was cursed to be black. That goes against all science, they don't care. That goes against all science, but they do not care. And to the extent that those that might care, and they got this evolutionary idea, they set up evolution, which Farrakhan promotes, and justify, right, that even though we may be original, even if we are original, right, with based on evolution, the first is the worst and the last is the best. You know, because we came from apes, according to them. So yeah, apes, they are great grand, but look what we put in cages now. We experiment on them, but they're supposed to be our relatives, our ancestors. See, so they before us. So that same way, look at us. See, we're their ancestors, but sooner or later they're gonna put us in. Well, they already put us in cages, haven't they? They already said we weren't human. They've already done that. That's the evolution. They already done that. And they still think that way now. The problem is they got to figure out how to get rid of us. See, they still want to rob us for our creativity. That's a problem. That's something they got a problem with, because why are we so creative if we stop evolving? That's the definition of an animal. It's not evolving anymore. See, apes are not expected to evolve anymore. They stopped. See, dogs will not evolve to something else because they stopped. They stopped along the way. So along the way, as we kept evolving, there were certain things that stopped. And so they stayed like they are, and they're not ever going to change. But they evolved to apes. Apes stopped evolving, then they evolved to black people, right? I mean, those that kept evolving, right? The apes, you see apes now, they stopped. But those apes that kept evolving eventually evolved to black people, right? See? And then from the black people, those that kept evolving eventually evolved to white people. And the black people right now, they're not evolving anymore. That's why it's still black. See? So in other words, they're animals now. You got to understand what they're telling you, brothers and sisters. They can't come out and tell you because it's politically correct. They're telling you animals, you're not evolving anymore. That's what the definition of animal is. You got to understand these definitions. The definition of animal is something that's not evolving anymore. And so we're not evolving anymore because the proof is we're still black. Apes are not evolving anymore because they're still apes. But who's evolving? White people, they're still evolving. Because they tell you that the ultimate game, right? The cyborg thing, they're going to be mechanical beings, right? With biological brains and electronic nervous systems and everything else. So that's their evolutionary stage. They evolve into that. But we left behind. And so eventually at some point, right, we just left. We already reduced to animals. but we'd be totally separate from them. That's the story, brothers and sisters. I want to talk about a couple of things first, and then we play this. See, um, we had those demons. I talked about those demons. The demon plague. I went through just randomly, and I mean, I shouldn't have been. I knew it was bad. I knew as bad as it was. I mean, it's over 70% of so-called celebrities and everything out there that they make you want you to admire and everything and look up to your role models are married white because they're demons, and they're upset because they feel they lost out because they should have been white, but they got black skin because their dad was white. So now they got to recover. So they definitely not gonna marry anything else black. They want to get back to daddy, so they marry something white, and they figure after a couple generations they're all white all over again. That's what's going on with that. They don't want to be bothered with you, but they need you because Master's not going to let them live off of him. They told him, "You're not going to live off of me." When they took you out of the chains, right? When they took you out of the fields, they threw you in a ditch and threw the vipers and demons in behind you. And they said, "Okay, y'all can live off of them. You can't live off of us. Y'all my children, but you can't live off of us." Because back when you're in the fields, you live off of them then continually. That's the preachers, the the politicians, right? The entertainers, they live off of you. They don't go to master's house with that stuff. At least master's back, because we're all in master's house. But they're not living off of master, they're living off of you. They don't care nothing about you. How could they care about you? And they try to damage everything they can, right? To be like master again, to be white again. Everything in their power to achieve that. Just go and look at what I put out there. And I just started. If I keep going, now that, they're not only doing that, marry that way so they can produce, right? Their children be lighter and lighter and lighter. But some can't wait. They're just going and buying this stuff to lighten themselves up. And then another thing I want to talk about. See, I said this nation is about to be born. And the understanding is that we've been energized. We suffered for energy deprivation. You understand that? Didn't have enough energy because all the energy was being placed out there because we built all of that. So we had a period of energy deprivation that last 50,000 years and was very acute the last 6,000 years and very, very, right, personal, really, in the last 4 years. Very acute. See? And so we had no power, to maintain civilization or anything. But now we're coming out of it because the universe is contracting and just coming back, comes back in waves approximately 50 years. And now we're in the process happening now. So that's what you see going out there. What you see is our people rising up because they're being energized. The problem is they don't have any guidance. So they're getting in trouble because they got energy. You get children a lot of energy and no guidance. It's like having a Lamborghini, right? That can 500 miles an hour. You got to foot in the gas, no steering wheel. No steering wheel. We got to get people a steering wheel, and they're going to get it in a minute. That's a lot of them are just demons anyway. But they're rising too. Everybody's. Even the devils, they're rising. Everybody's been energized. The problem is, the more energy, the more pressure. Like the more you turn the fire on the stove, the pressure gets the water. You see water boiling, that's pressure. See, that's what heat is, pressure. Their temperature they move faster and faster. That means they're colliding more. The faster they move, the temperature goes up. The faster they move, the more the collision. That's the pressure part, right? And the problem is, they can't withstand that kind of pressure because they was made weak. They survive in the vacuum of that 6,000 year period, right, where had energy deprivation, where there was low pressure, very low pressure. See, but when the pressure intensifies, right? See, like in those amusement parks do the bumper cars. Okay, yeah, but now if you turn it up when they start moving 50 miles an hour, they don't survive. So they can't survive that, and that's what you see going on right now. And they're fighting. They're fighting, trying to survive. Everything is going against them. That's what it says. Because now the pressure is greater than they can withstand. That's bad luck for them. Because the problem is that their energy advantage they had. Remember, they had energy advantage. Because if you make the same amount of money, if you make $1,000 a week, and you got a Lamborghini, and it costs you $1,500 a week to maintain it, then you're going into debt at a rate of $500 a week. You're going into more and more debt because you can't, right, to maintain that thing. But if you got a Volkswagen Beetle and it costs you $500, then you got $500 energy to disposable income to do things with. That's the problem we had. That's the problem we had. You see. So, um, but the problem is that the Volkswagen Beetle, right? When that Lamborghini, because now it's parked in the garage, you can't drive it around because you can't afford it. You got it, but you can't afford to do anything with it because you're going in debt just even having it. But when you start driving around, you get enough energy, start making $2,000 a week. Now you got enough to drive around, and you get in a conflict with that, right? Because that Beetle's moving around faster, so there's more energy. But if it gets in contest with that Lamborghini, a crash, that Volkswagen Beetle is finished. Because I believe Lamborghini is made out of real steel. Volkswagen Beetle is made out of plastic. That'd be the end of it. And that's what's happening. So now the pressure is increasing, and they cannot withstand it. But it requires more and more energy to maintain their structure. Because if you collapse it, that means you got to start putting support beams and stuff to keep you from collapsing. You see how it's collapsing, right? You got to start getting support beams, all kinds of things, frames. You got to bring engineers and stuff in to try to, if you want to try to keep from collapsing. And that's what's happening. They use all their resource and everything, right, to try to keep the institutions, capitalism, the economic system, that's capitalism, right? Their institutions, everything else is falling apart. They turn against themselves, and now they got to do all this kind of energy to support that. So then they go into a state of energy deprivation because all the energy advantage they had is already being neutralized. They don't have it anymore because they need all the energy just to try to maintain their structure. And at some point in time, they don't have enough energy to do that, and then the whole thing just collapses. See, well, now we need more police. Okay, it costs more police. They have to be more oppressive because people rise. It's hard to keep the people out. Because right now, that's a crime in cities. They can't control the people. They're losing control of the people because they don't have the energy to control them anymore. It took energy to control us. We didn't sit here and just sit around and say, okay, we're going to do what you say, master. They had to terrorize us to maintain us under this control they did for 64 years. That takes energy to do that. They had to hire taskmasters, people that beat us and torment us and all things they was doing to us. It takes energy. But now they're losing their energy advantage. So they're losing their ability to rule because all the money, because they're in debt right now. They're in debt to their mortal enemy, China, to the tune of trillions of dollars. So they can't afford it anymore. See? They can't afford to maintain this military and everything because that military is part to maintain this structure. So they had to try to build more military, but they had the money to do it. So now the enemy's outpacing them militarily. See? So the whole system is collapsing. The family's collapsing. The whole idea of what family is about is collapsing. Right? They lose control of their borders openly. People just run in. They think they're friends, they're the enemies. There are all kinds of armed groups here in America that's totally anti-American. They don't realize it. So it's hard to maintain the structure. They've been challenged all over the world. See, so they lose. So when they lose their advantage, their energy advantage, that means, right, they don't have it anymore. That means now they can't keep the enemies off of them, and they can't keep us down. And so only option they have is to wipe us out. So they don't have there's nothing to keep down, and they wipe out China and those places, so they don't owe them any money anymore. That's why they know war is coming. That's how they calculated it, because they can't afford this anymore. Because we're too troublesome. It costs them too much money to maintain us here. The prisons, how much money it costs maintaining prisons. They say that most cities, the major cities, right? They say that crime to maintain their law enforcement to the tune of billions of dollars, billions of dollars. And we understand what law enforcement means. Law is your structure. Law is the structure. That's what law is. Law gives structure to any entity. It says the law, the rules by what defines it, like chess game. Chess game would be nothing without rules, so that defines how the game is played, like chess and anything else. Poker or whatever, you have rules, that's the structure of what this is all about. That's what laws are. Laws determine the structure of a system. And so we say law enforcement, that means these people enforce, right? Their purpose is to maintain the integrity of that system. That's what they're for. And to destroy anything that tries to distort it or corrupt it. You got to understand what these things mean, brothers and sisters. They're not there to protect you. They're there to protect the system. That's why they didn't say people enforcement or peace enforcement, law enforcement. You understand what law is? So anything that troubles that law or compromise anything else, they're going to destroy it. That's their whole purpose. And you're a major problem for this law because your whole nature is against it. Your entire nature is against it. That's why you had a conflict with them. They're never going to let that up as long as they're here because if they want to maintain this system, that's why this system is falling apart right now. Because the whole thing is they don't have enough energy to maintain it. But that's what law enforcement is supposed to do that. So they say, well, let's get rid of law enforcement, right? But the people that know, no, you can't do that because that means you can destroy the system. The people that do know that's purposely do it because that's the purpose that they want. They know if you get rid of law enforcement, this whole system comes down. So there's a lot going on out there, brothers and sisters. So that's what you're witnessing is America challenged and they're under all the systems under extreme stress and they're folding. And so they have less power to control you. That's why they're losing power to control you. And that's why, to some extent, they want to defund the police because they can't afford it, but they know if they defund it, they're going to lose control of the structure. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So I'm going to play this for you. And it's going to take about 5 or 10 minutes. Go ahead and play this for you. And then we'll move on and then I'll close out. Okay, let's go.
Today on the newscast, U.S., UK, and Israeli officials all agree that Iran was behind the deadly drone attack on an Israeli-operated ship last week. The big question now, how will Israel respond? Get all the breaking details next. Hey folks, Eric Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchmen newscast. We've got some major updates for you on the rapidly developing story, the Iranian regime directing a deadly drone attack against an Israeli-operated ship last Thursday night, July 29th. 2 crew members left dead, a major escalation in that ongoing shadow war at sea between Iran and Israel. Now, U.S., UK, and Israeli officials are all saying that Iran was behind this deadly attack that left a Romanian citizen. The captain of the ship was of Romanian origin. Also, a British citizen dead. And by the way, Romanian officials are also saying that yes, Iran was behind this attack. We are going to get into all of the latest details. First, a quick review in case you missed it. What exactly happened late Thursday night, July 29th, late at night? A drone, or perhaps multiple drones, that's not quite clear yet, flew into this ship, an oil tanker. Now, it is called Mercer Street. That's the name of the ship. It is a Japanese-owned ship, but it is operated and managed by an Israeli company called Zodiac Maritime. Now, an Israeli businessman, Eyal Ofer, owns this company, very wealthy businessman and philanthropist. So an obvious target for the Iranian regime. We have seen this time and time again over the past few months. Not only Israeli-owned, but Israeli-operated vessels at sea targeted by the Iranian regime. So Iran immediately was the prime suspect in this attack. Number one, because this was an Israeli-operated ship, and this fits the MO that we've seen since February of this year, the tit-for-tat attacks at sea, in particular in the Gulf of Oman, the Red Sea, and in those areas. That's first. Secondly, the means of the attack. Drones were used, and folks, we've seen this time and time again over the past several months. The Iranian regime and its proxies in the region using drones to attack U.S. interests in Iraq and attack the Saudis in Saudi Arabia, the Houthis in Yemen, using that Iranian drone technology to launch multiple attacks against Saudi Arabia. So where there's smoke, there's fire. Number one, I guess you would say, Iran immediately the prime suspect in that regard, judging by recent history and their activities. But secondly, now, after reviewing the information and the evidence over the weekend, United States, UK, and Israeli and Romanian officials, as I mentioned, all came to the conclusion that yes, this was an Iranian operation. Now, I made the point on that Friday newscast that this is a major escalation in that ongoing tit-for-tat between Israel and Iran at sea, and the reason is obvious. 2 people were killed. In the previous exchanges between these two nations, mines were planted on ships, missiles were fired, but no one was killed. This attack last Thursday night, clearly in the eyes of Israeli, U.S., and British officials, crossed a clear red line. I think strong evidence of that was apparent over the weekend. The U.S. and the U.K. issued unusually strongly worded statements condemning the Iranian regime and warning of consequences. Today, wait, before you scroll away, Democratic headquarters urgently needs you to sign this petition to protect. Called the attack outrageous, pointed the finger squarely at Iran. Now, Israeli defense and intelligence officials had a pretty clear indication from the outset that this was an Iranian attack. Look, it fits the MO of the Iranian regime, obviously. Iran, of course, is denying any involvement. An Iranian foreign ministry spokesman said today that suggestions Iran was involved in this deadly drone attack are ludicrous, that Iran will respond immediately to any attack against Iranian interests. And that brings us to the big question: how will Israel respond? Will there be perhaps a coordinated response? As I mentioned, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, the British Foreign Secretary, both had unusually strongly worded statements against the Iranian regime, warned of consequences. I say unusually strong because, folks, let's face it, we've talked about this a lot during the newscast over the past several months. The U.S. in particular, under the Biden administration, has been tiptoeing around the Iran issue because they are desperate to re-enter that disastrous Iran nuclear deal. There's been some appeasement going on, to say the least, when it comes to Iran and the Biden White House. So to see this strong statement was striking to me. Israel is reportedly discussing with the U.S. and the UK how to respond. And according to some media reports we're seeing out of the Middle East, the U.S. and the UK have, quote, greenlit an Israeli response, and they're saying, hey, do what you need to do. So the big question now, how will Israel respond? When will Israel respond? Well, top Israeli officials, including Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, are saying we will respond, and we will respond in a serious manner, in a place and at a time of our choosing. Israel reportedly looking at a variety of options in terms of a response. According to one Kuwaiti media report, Israel could perhaps strike. The obvious target would be an Iranian ship at sea, perhaps an Iranian port like Bandar Abbas, which is a major port. But you can bet that a strong Israeli response is coming. The other big question here is what happens now to the Iran nuclear deal. Two things to keep in mind, folks, before we go. Number one, those nuclear talks between the Biden administration and Iran, these are indirect talks that have been taking place in Vienna. They've been on hold over the past few weeks as the newly elected, quote unquote, Iranian president Ibrahim Raisi is waiting in the wings to take office this week. August 5th, on Thursday, he will ascend to Iran's presidency. Now, Raisi has been known as the Butcher of Tehran. Alternately, some call him the Hangman of Tehran. He has the blood of Iranian dissidents, reportedly thousands of Iranian dissidents and political prisoners on his hands. Now he is ascending to Iran's presidency. Just so you know, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is still the ultimate authority in that country, but Raisi is seen as a close acolyte of Khamenei and also as a possible successor to the supreme leader, who, by the way, is over the age of 80 years old and has had severe health issues over the years. So I believe Raisi's ascension to the presidency is a major event, especially in regards to Iran's posture towards Israel and towards the West, and towards that nuclear deal. There's been some reports in the past week or so that U.S. officials are kind of pessimistic right now about the chances of that Iran nuclear deal being reborn. And folks, to me, that's a good thing because that deal is an absolute disaster. But U.S. officials are losing hope, especially with Raisi coming into office, that a nuclear deal, an Iran nuclear deal, a revamped version of it, will come to fruition. That's something to keep a very close eye on. And of course, now that Raisi is taking office, you have across the board at the upper echelons of Iran's leadership, hardliner after hardliner, completely manned by radical Iranian revolutionaries from the supreme leader to the president on down. The Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, of course, power brokers as well, who answered directly to the supreme leader. Now Raisi will be in lockstep, and their messaging will be coordinated and airtight. Is this attack on an Israeli-operated ship, which, hey, is clearly an escalation? Iran knows that as well. Was that a signal from Iran that they're ready to up their game, so to speak, and begin targeting Israeli interest and perhaps U.S. interest in Iraq as well, and walk away from those nuclear talks in Vienna and just take a completely radical, hard line? That is a distinct possibility. So we will keep a very close eye on this, folks. Now, I know this isn't the most pleasant news to start your week with, but hey, I think you'd rather know than not know what is developing in the Middle East right now and how it affects you. Even more importantly, I want you to be encouraged, not discouraged, because the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob still sits on the throne today. And guess what? His word is very clear that when it comes to Israel, he neither slumbers nor sleeps, especially in these prophetic Bible times in which we are living in right now. Hang in there, be encouraged. God Almighty is still on the throne. Thanks for joining us here today.
See the bullshit? See the bullshit? But he's talking from the sealed Bible. And he got the whole sealed Bible to back him up on everything he just said there. See? Because the sealed Bible was the scripture that we're supposed to be dealing with. Everything he said is correct. And we're hopeless. We're just lost people, cursed black, and we're going to be enslaved forever. If not by these folks, we'll be enslaved by someone else because we're cursed by God, be enslaved forever. So that means all we got to look forward is slavery. See, that's all we got to look for. And slavery after we die, because masters, white masters, he's going to be there, and he's going to judge us based on how good slaves we were, how much we obeyed master on this side. That's what they tell you. They believe that. See, so he's saying, hey, man, he's all pro false Israel. See, but see, what you don't understand is what he's telling you that you don't pay attention to. He's telling you, because if with his perspective is right, he ain't gonna come and tell you that we just curse people. From his perspective, he ain't gonna tell you that, because his sealed Bible tells him that we're cursed people who's born to be slaves. We're inferior. The Christians over here know that too. The evangelicals know that too. That's why they think like they think. They can't tell. It's not politically correct. They told you that for 400 years. They told you that. They stopped telling you that about 50 years ago. Before that, you were animals and still in their constitution. And if you don't obey them, you put your ass in jail. It's in the Constitution. So we're still under master's thumb. You're not free. Still here on the plantation. Oh, it's an upgraded plantation like a dog. The master's poor, the dog eats scraps. As the master starts gets some money, the dog eats dog food. If it gets no better, start eating hamburgers. Right? If it gets rich, the dog starts eating steaks. But it's still a dog, and he's still wearing the master's leash. So these people telling you otherwise, they're lying to you. Farrakhan's not telling you like that because he's one of them. He's a demon. He's not supposed to get you upset like that. He's not supposed to tell you the truth. See, that's what Harriet Tubman said. She could have freed thousands more if they knew they were slaves. Now, even in that situation, they were still in the plantation, being beaten, raped, and everything else. And they still didn't understand themselves as slaves. They didn't see themselves as slaves back then. So how in the hell are you going to see themselves as slaves right now when they don't have any chains on them and they run around and do things they do? They still work for massa. I got a car. 9% of that car is for what? To get back and forth to the plant. Get back and forth to the field. And you still working 95, and on there you do exactly what the master says, or you get fired. If you're fired, you have no place to stay. You can't do anything. You always gotta work for master. You gotta do what he tells you to do, or you don't have anything. You sleep out in the streets. If you give master some lip, yes, go into prison. And you say you're free, can you do what you want to do? Oh, I do what I want to do. How much time how much time a day do you have to do what you want to do? You spend the best part of your day, at least 10 hours for that job. Now, say that car you got, 9% of that is going back and forth to get to that, but you had to pay for it out of your pocket. And you're renting. If you're not renting, you're more in the mortgage, so it's still, mass still controlling that. And you talk about you free to be a fool. And then when you have time, send you watching mass on TV, then indoctrinating your ass. Okay, brothers and sisters, move on. Let's make a change here. We'll talk about a couple things and we'll close out. Okay, this.
Crime Wave. Isaiah 66:7 commentaries. Before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her pain came, she gave birth to a boy. Meaning, that the restoration of the original nation, would be so sudden and contrary to all men's opinions as when a woman is delivered before she looked for it.
That's about to happen, brothers and sisters. Now they claim that's false Israel, of course. They claim it was born in a day. As they claim, And so you go back there, oh man, one day it was there, one day it wasn't there. I mean, it was born in a day, right? See? But that's what they tell you. So that's still Bible. See? That's talking about us. And in the process happening now. The war is broke. So we're about to give birth. See, Nation of Islam is about to be birthed. And they got Dr. Farrakhan standing right there. Because they already paid them. You better make sure we don't try to abortion. That didn't work. Right? We try stillbirth, we tried everything else, poisoner, birth, everything. And you still, baby's still holding it, baby still seem to be coming. So you better make sure if its head pop out, you make sure you put a pin in it. That's his job to find. He's the last one. If he doesn't, right, then it's going to kill it after it's born. If he can't stop it. That's his job. You may not see it that way, but you better think about it. But it's going to be born anyway. They can't stop it. See, because we have a powerful God on the scene, Master Farad Muhammad, and we have a powerful high priest on the scene, right? That's watching him. If he make any false move, that's into him. See, my eyes is on him, 24/7. Now I said the first battle, the first target Suleiman would take on would be the demons, Legion, Louis Eugene Brown, NOI backwards, read Mark. So if you make a false move, he's done. Move on, brothers and sisters.
Before she travailed, she brought forth, before her pain came, she was delivered of a man-child. Who hath heard such a thing? Who hath seen such things? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day? Or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. Shall I bring to the birth, and not cause to bring forth? Saith the Lord, shall I cause to bring forth, and shut the womb? Saith thy God.
It's not going to be an abortion here. Not going to be a stillborn. It's going to happen, even though they're trying everything to stop it. Happens suddenly. I'm going to try to connect the things together. What's been holding up? Why is it take so long for this baby? Right? 464 years. See, the nation's been being tormented to give birth to us. See, 464 years. But what's false Israel is taking that identity, and so therefore they claim they're the child that was born. That's their claim. They're the child that was born. See, that's what's holding up the process. That's why Master Muhammad is going to take them out. But see, once he takes them out, this whole vision is based on them being, remember, that's the sealed Bible. Because that's whole, they got to, be consistent with that. They got to make that happen. That's the narrative. But if that narrative is destroyed, the foundation destroyed, whole thing comes collapsing down. See? So he's going to not tear it. He's going, like it says, he's going to strike at the root. See? That's the root of this vision. Once he strikes at it and destroys it, what happens? Then we give birth. Our birth takes place because there's nothing restraining anymore. Because we are the true seed of Abraham. Can't be denied. So what does that mean then? Because you got these vultures, these devils, and these demons, and these vipers, they're circling around, right? See? I mean, Farrakhan's a doctor, as you call the nurses, helpers, and everything else. They're all around, stand all around. All of them have the same purpose in mind. See, we tried everything to stop that baby being born, but that's coming through anyway. So they all right there to make sure, right, that once his head pops through, they put a pin in it. So all supporting them. Supporting Farrakhan, and he's supporting Matt. He's doing what he's paid to do. He's paid to do what he's doing. And House of Saud is paying him too. That's why he's pushing that Sunnism, because they don't want this vision to be realized either, because that means that vision, the vision includes we're taking our land back they took from us 50,000 years ago, Arabia. So that's what's happening here. See? So they're watching to make sure this doesn't happen. See? But if false Israel goes, it does happen. See? If false Israel is taken down, then that will happen immediately. See? It'll happen immediately. It's almost like, you know, a woman have two babies, twins, but the second one can't come out till the first one's come out. See, so the first one is restraining the second one. So like false Israel was the first one. They claiming to be, so we can't get out until they're fully out, and they're claiming to be us. So once they're out, now we can come out. But they're out, they're going out and be destroyed. Then we can come out. See? And we're the ones that Farrakhan's supposed to abort. See, he's talking all this stuff. See, listen to what he's saying. I told you he's doing everything undermining Elijah Muhammad's teaching. And not only that, right? But he's talking tough. Well, I'm going to get them satanic Jews. Well, what's a satanic Jew? What is they? What is that? What does it say? Even the Jews don't like satanic Jews. It's bullshit. See how tough he is? He's after satanic Jews. But yet he won't bring devils in NOI. That means he's not only saying not saying that devils anymore, but he don't believe that devils anymore, because why would he, if he believe that, then why would they bring them to the NOI? We got him on record saying that. That's what it says one of his goals is. You understand, brothers and sisters? The nation is going to be born suddenly as soon as false Israel is taken down. But the vultures are there to make sure that doesn't happen. So as soon as that happens, right, that means rebirth. That means they got shut down immediately. See? They're going to try everything else. Once the head comes through, they got to shut down immediately. Now you understand what he's talking about? It says they're going to attack us as soon as false Israel goes down. The abomination, I say flee. Tell them, baby, get your head out of there, jump up and run. If your head pop up, jump up and run. Don't trust anybody. Just jump up and run, because they all out there to kill. The nerds, all of them, they're out to kill you. That's what that's all about. Because they're sitting there, they've already paid, they've been sitting there, they said it. And they're quote pro, whatever they call it, quid pro, COINTEL, or whatever they call it, right? Farrakhan used to have it on the site, they just got rid of all that stuff. COINTEL, or whatever they call it. They said they couldn't have us think of it as a nation. They didn't care if we believe in Sunnism, they just didn't want to believe in Elijah Muhammad's teaching. That's what they said. That's the FBI said that. They didn't want a Messiah to rise that could electrify the people and make them think it's a nation anymore. And if you read that, everything they wanted, Farrakhan gave him. Teaching them being the devils. They didn't was against all that. That's what the FBI said, and Farrakhan delivered all of it. And you're still sitting there. Why are you still sitting there? He gave them all of it. So as soon as, because remember, they don't want us to be a nation. They've been watching us day and night. We cannot, they look for any signs of us reverting back to what Elijah Muhammad was doing. They're watching us, me personally, very closely, Because only see a few cubs around there. So you only see what we allow them to see. You see a few cubs. Oh, okay. But if they sitting around and see a whole bunch of them, they're coming down, right? Full fangs, bloody fangs, and razor sharp claws. Destroys, tears to pieces. So, bro, since you pay attention, because this is serious stuff here. And they're serious. And they will tear you apart. And if they can't, you better be careful because they'll find all kind of ways. See? Because I got people that are dealing with me, right, that everybody don't know about. I got some people that I know are agents. I know the agents. So it's easy to find out. I'm like, tell you how I know. I know the agents. But that's what sent there to make sure, right, that this never gets anywhere. The agents. They do it everywhere. I mean, why would they do it to us? That's why Farrakhan's got all the demons around to make sure that he keeps with the program, keeps focused. They went out him pretty soon. Understand, brothers and sisters? False Israel is about to go down. That's why I play out the thing. This is how they think. They rejoice. They want this war because they think this is the doorway to heaven. This is what this will herald Jesus' return to wipe out all the terroristic Muslims, to get rid of us, those cursed black, right? To fight all the enemies of America and false Israel. That's they believe. They want it. That's not what's going to happen. I believe that's why it's shock of the hour. They'll be crazed.
Rejoice ye with Jerusalem, and be glad with her, all ye that love her, rejoice for joy with her, all ye that mourn for her. That ye may suck, and be satisfied with the breasts of her consolations, that ye may milk out, and be delighted with the abundance of her glory. For thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will extend peace to her like a river, and the glory of the Gentiles like a flowing stream, then shall ye suck, ye shall be borne upon her sides, and be dandled upon her knees. As one whom his mother comforteth, so will I comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb, and the hand of the Lord shall be known toward his servants, and his indignation toward his enemies.
That's justice, revenge, days of vengeance. He's going to destroy his enemies. Everything that's done to us, they've sowed the wind, they're going to reap the whirlwind. The indignation of the God and of the high priest is limitless. They will get the full wrath like never experienced before. Because God is slow to anger, but once it's anger, woo. See, but you're going to be comforted, brothers and sisters. It's your time now. See, their distress is your comfort. The more they're distressed, the more comfort for you. Because they're going to be distressed, crushed. Not crushed all at once, crushed so they feel the pain as they crush you. You know, you don't have the strength to stop it, but now you're still feeling every little ache and pain as you're being crushed, grounded into dust. That's how they're going to end. They were broken suddenly, but the crushing is going to take a while. See, because once this crushing starts, they can't, right? They're defenseless, so now they got to suffer the pressure. Slowly crush. It's like, imagine you laying on the ground, right? There's a ton stone covering you, right? But it's not enough to crush you, but you under it, you feeling all that pain, but it's getting heavier and heavier and heavier because your body gets weaker and weaker and weaker, right? And you're suffering all that, and you can't get out from under it. That's what it's going to be like for them. Until eventually your body just can't withstand it, crush to a puddle of blood. So it's going to be for them. See? But joy for you, comfort. Because you suffered enough, brothers and sisters, especially sisters. See? The brothers won't give you sisters any credit. You suffered more than we did. See? And your suffering is worse because it was our job to protect you and we didn't. That's on us. No blame, brothers and sisters, because we knew that's what we was getting into, and sisters agreed to go along with us. But they didn't agree to all this bullshit that's going on now. Cast them by the side, put them on TV looking like whores and hoes and bitches, and calling them bitches and stuff like that there, and stepping all over them. You know, you rag them out, right? See, they good enough for you. You didn't have nothing. See, when you have nothing, it was good enough for you then. See, you sleep in them and wearing them out. As soon as you got two nickels you can rub together, then you ran all over them to get to master's daughter. You're sick people. See, when you was growing up, well, they was good enough for you then. We didn't have anything. Oh, honey, oh, see. But now, oh, as soon as master give you a check, right? Then all of a sudden, they ain't nothing anymore. They ain't good enough for you. They're good enough for you to knock them up and give them some babies and run away from them. You see. And now you got a couple of nickels. Oh, man, okay. I don't need you. You ain't nothing. See, I can't deal with them black people, man. They're so, they're not cooperative. Well, they gave you birth, didn't they? Didn't they give you a dumbass birth? They went through 9 months with your ass, right? And now they're not worthy. See, I'm a defender of women, and I've had a lot of trouble with them. Believe me, I've had a lot of trouble with women. See, I had I won't go a lot of detail, but you know, I ran into a lot of demons, and I read a book once that says a lot of people that are like a lot of men, right? It did not just, it's not just doesn't do it. That skin tone, white, black, whatever. It says men that are very like, I would say, you know, they like to study, like to think. They're focused, driven. They have a lot of trouble with women because they don't go out and look for women. They're so concentrated on what they're doing, but they still have their nature. And so the first woman come along, they go along with it because that's not their focus. And so they always have trouble with them because they never find one that's compatible because they focus on what they're doing. It's like that's a common affliction upon men like that. Even women too, because you have women that's very driven like that. So they first men come along, they go along with it because they ain't focused on that. See, because a lot of guys say, man, I'm gonna go out here and try to figure out, find me a woman, man, but I'm gonna make sure she's the right one and all that kind of stuff. And some of them do that. But these type of men I'm talking about, they don't do that stuff. I never did it. I never did it. I'd be walking around, all of a sudden I bump into a female and I ain't doing anything, I ain't got nobody. She must be the one. Because I'm not concentrating on whether, you know, she's a female. And so I ran into a bunch of demons like that. See. And I mean, excuse, that was my fault. But that's a common affliction. See. But that doesn't change the fact that our women, my mother, right, gave me birth. See. And she went through hell to do it. See. And I have, well, I'm not going to say that, but she went through hell to do it. And our women went through hell. That's why I characterize chapter 12, Nation of Islam, as a female, because the females went through hell to birth this nation. For 464 years of labor, to birth this nation. And then we're going to diss them like we do? Now I'm going to defend them. See? But when we get to where we're going, they have their own defenders. See? They have their own defenders. So right now, I'm a defender, 100%. Because unless they're demons, I have nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with them. Now, some of the female demons will make it hereafter because they're not the threat. It's the males to carry the seed. If they can comply and honor our ways and everything else, right? We have no problem with them. Master Muhammad's mother was a devil, and we don't have anything. I don't have nothing bad to say about that woman at all. No, she's a great woman as far as I'm concerned. That's his mother. She gave birth to him. The God is going to deliver us. See, so the woman is not the threat. It's the male. He carries the seed. But they want to dismiss that. Oh well, you know, if you got 1 ounce of black blood, you're black. Okay, you might be black, but you're not original. You ain't pulling that one on me. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. But you're going to be comforted. See, you're going to be given homes that you have not built, beautiful homes. Land of milk and honey, all that sin is going to be blown away. Milk, where does milk come from? It comes from cows. That means a lot of beef. Is that where milk comes from? Come from cows. It means reduce milk, you have to have cows. It means you got to have a lot of them. So it's overflowing with milk and honey. Where's honey come? It comes from bees. What do bees do? They pollinate. It means there's going to be plenty of vegetation. You got to read between lines, brothers and sisters. All that's yours. In abundance. Family. No more arguing, fighting, loving children. Beautiful homes. And that's just the beginning. Just gets better and healing. It says the Son of Righteousness in Malachi will arise with healing in his wings. That means they're healing to us. They're healing. Some of us, not all of us, some of us is going to be returned, right? Once we return, all our bodies will start rejuvenate. But some of us, like myself, probably be another 50 years before we get back to 16 years old again. Might not be enough yet for me. For the younger ones, you're going to be your aging reversed to 6, because you're not aging, brothers and sisters. You're wilting. That's what I'm talking about, energy deprivation. Your body will heal itself. You see all these wrinkles and stuff when you get older, right? That's your body is taking because your skin is an organ. And so what your body is doing is trying to figure out, okay, I got this much energy and I got all these organs. Which one should I take and put the energy to maintain the system? Because if I keep you a beautiful face, but I let your heart go, then you're dead. You're a dead person with a beautiful face. So it's using energy to focus on the main organs, like your heart, your lungs. So therefore, your skin, that's not a main organ. So therefore, you start losing structure, your face, integrity. So you start looking old and stuff like that there. See? But when you get enough energy, that your skin will start regenerating and all that tightness and everything will return. So you look back like you're 16 years old again. That's the promise in the Quran. It's the promise Elijah Muhammad told you about. But older person like me, maybe, right? I mean, I'm going to reverse, always reverse, maybe not 16, maybe 30, 40, something like that. And be the next 50 years before I'm totally, the process complete. I'm not exactly sure. I don't understand the science. I understand the science. I just don't have the math as ultimate detail. But I mean, even restore it back to where I was 30 years old, that would be beautiful for me. I can handle another 50 years. Brothers and sisters, you got nothing but beauty, love, and joy from this day forward. It's just positive for you. Every day from now on is just positive for you. Every day from now is just positive for you. No matter all this darkness coming, right, it's positive for you. All this darkness coming is positive for you. It's darkness for them. Don't worry about all this. You stay in good joy because you're not going to happen to you. And especially standing with me, you won't even be here when this stuff really hit the fan. You're going to be able to witness the judgment. But when the Chinese and Indians roll up in here, we will be gone. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. but his wrath upon these people, what they have done. It's not so much what they did, is how they did it. Because we were supposed to submit to them, we were going to be enslaved by them. That was foregone conclusion, because we had no energy to control ourselves, not because it was written. We don't believe in that stuff. But oh, well, it's written, so that's we can't do anything about it because it's written. If that's the case, what the hell are you going to work for? Just sleep and stay in the bed. It was not going to happen because it was written. You understand, brothers and sisters?
God's final judgments against the wicked. For, behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. They that sanctify themselves, and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination, and the mouse, shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come, that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come, and see my glory. And I will set a sign among them, and I will send those that escape of them unto the nations, to Tarshish, Pool, and Lud, that draw the bow, to Tubal, and Javan, to the isles afar off, that have not heard my fame, neither have seen my glory, and they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations upon horses, and in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith the Lord, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of the Lord. And I will also take of them for priests and for Levites, saith the Lord. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass, that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. And they shall go forth, and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
Yep, there's going to be a great destruction. Many, over 1/3 of the population of the planet is definitely going to go away. More likely 2/3. That's going to bump the energy allotment up dramatically. It's going to cause the healing process to go forth even more dramatically. Maybe it might even be enough for me to reverse all the way to 16. But it's going to cause a dramatic, because that's what it is. The energy we get is divided amongst the allotment that you're supposed to have is how much energy there is divided by how many people there are. So if there's 1,000 units of energy and 1,000 people, each one gets 1 unit. But if there's 1,000 units of energy, 100 people, each one gets 10 units. If 1,000 people and one person, right, or 10 people, each one will get 100 units. And 1,000 people and one person, they get a whole 1,000 altogether. So when you cut a population now, first we're being energized, but that's going to be enhanced dramatically, right? Once a third or 2/3 of the population are gone. Dramatic times. But it says, mass problem, will hasten it in this time. So once false Israel goes down, right, the joy will be hastened. But they won't come after us. They're going to try to stop it. Immediately they're going to try to stop it. See? Because once it happens, our people will come together. Because they're also going to realize, right, they see Abraham. Because most of them believe, they buy the sealed Bible. And the sealed Bible tells them that cannot happen. That's one of the reasons why the sealed Bible is there. Because it's telling them that cannot happen. Israel once returned, they cannot be destroyed. They cannot be. So once it is, that means something wrong with that Bible, something wrong with something. And then you got us right here saying that's what it's supposed to be. And everything we're saying is confirmed. So our people come together instantly. When they take out false Israel, they come together instantly. That means they have to destroy us instantly. They have to destroy us instantly. See? So in other words, Minister Farrakhan and his demons will be manifested at the same time simultaneously. So when falsehoods go down, he's going down too. He's going down too. Same time simultaneously. See? So there's nothing to hold us, prevent us anymore. They're going to come in, prevent us from uniting, and once we unite, because they can't afford to have us unite. I said that earlier, they can't afford to have that happen. But that's what will happen when false Israel's gone. Because that's the only thing restraining us from uniting. Once they're gone, we instantly unite. All black folks come together. And that's the judgment. That's the judgment, all black folks come together. Because now we got to screen out the vipers, screen out the demons and all that stuff. And we got the evidence. They showing it. I showed you my little montage, right? About how many, right? They give the evidence themselves. We got picture evidence of them. So that's the judgment of our people. Not judging, whether, you eat pork and stuff like that. No, you shouldn't be doing that. But all of us says so Superman would eat unclean food. So all of us subject to that stuff, right? So we're not angry at you if you come in unclean, because we all been in a shithole for 464 years. So how do we expect you to come forth clean? We expect you to come forth. See, because we got the soap and water. That's why I say this, the measure of the covenant. He comes with soap. We expect you to come forth unclean because you're clean on the inside. You're filthy on the outside, but you're clean on the inside. That's what we want. We care about the inside. We got the soap for the outside, but our enemies, they filthy on the inside. So nothing to do with them. They better be careful. They go out and take a crap, because they may they may be flushed down with the crap, because they found they not just full of it, right? They are it. They ain't just full of shit. They are shit. But you are pure inside, and we know it. But you feel it on the outside. That's why we got soap and water to wash it off. But we got to get rid of the people that's causing that, the demons and the vipers and the devils. That's the judgment, brothers and sisters. Not whether, not whether, oh, well, you sleep with this woman or that. No, you shouldn't have been doing that. That's not the judgment. But if you heard the teachings and you rejected them, then that's a different grace. Because you had the opportunity to do it, learn, and you resisted. Well, that's probably an indication that you're a viper anyway. So we don't want you. But that's not where it's our people says, though your sins were black as midnight, they'll be white as snow, because we're not judging on that level. We expect you to come forth stinking and dirty and nasty. I mean, I've been there. I mean, I'm not clean now. How can you be clean in this toilet hole? How can you be clean in this shithole? So we're all filthy on the outside. We're looking at the inside, brothers and sisters. So we ain't worried about that. Once we get rid of these demons, these vipers, these devils, right? Then we got the soap. All you need is a bath. And we got just soap for you. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I think that's pretty much it. Let's see, is there anything else? Okay, brothers and sisters, that's pretty much it. Birth of a nation. Already, right? But see, because we're getting going to labor pain. I mean, 464 years. My sister's been in labor trying to bring this forth. See? But then something's going to come suddenly. I said, suddenly. Man, I didn't expect that, man. I thought it was going to take a while. Man, been labor 464 years. I figured, okay, now the war is broken. I might get these terms mixed up. I never had a baby, right? I think what you're going to labor after the war is broke, right? Anyway, you understand what I'm saying? Because the doctor said, well, it's probably going to take a few hours, right? And said, bam! What happened? I thought it was going to take a few hours. There it is. Because it's going to happen suddenly, bro, since it can happen there tomorrow. As soon as that war takes place, and we see, like I gave that, just check it, they're getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Once that war takes place over there, and falsehoods go down, our nation will be born instantly. Instantly. And nobody's going to be expecting it. except you who's been told, you've been warned, and there's very few of you out there that you know about. So we have the truth. We have the unsealed Bible, and they have the sealed Bible. We have the truth, and they don't have it. And our people are going to, once this happens, they're going to attack our people, get rid of it, because they know what's going on. And we're going to immediately come together. And that's why they're going to immediately have to attack us, destroy us. You see? Immediately destroy us. We're going to stand, brothers and sisters. That's what's about to happen. It's not going to work. That's about to happen. Assalamu alaikum.